everybody, Joe here. Today I am going to work on sewing a fitted bodice. I'm going to use this McCall's costume pattern and go with something very simple and classic like letter E that you see here. Now this has lacing up the front. I'm going to try to remove that and do just a simple hook and eye closure. I think that sometimes lacing can be visually distracting, and what I want you to focus on more is what I'm wearing under the bodice, not the bodice itself. So I think it would be kind of neat to have this fitted, structured garment kind of hugging me, highlighting my hourglass, and holding in this billowy, poofy sleeved dress that I intend on wearing underneath. I was hoping to make this a reversible bodice. I have this really pretty, both are linen, striped fabric, but the stripes are subtle. Hopefully you can pick that up. And then this kind of heavyweight, just natural colored linen. I purchased my linen online through a company that sells exclusively deadstock fabric. I highly recommend them. You get linen very cheaply, and I love linen. I'm gonna put a link below so you can see the company that I'm talking about. When I opened up the pattern, I was a bit sad to find out that there's these little loops I have to sew and create and then put lacing up the back. So A, this makes it not a reversible project anymore, and B, it requires another person to help dress me, which is something I hate. Now, I did the math. The last time I sewed a fitted bodice was 28 years ago, which sounds crazy to say out loud. I was in high school. I had just learned how to sew. I made my mother take me to Joann Fabrics, and I purchased every historical costume pattern I could get my hands on. There weren't many, but I came home that day, I opened everything up, and I instantly became overwhelmed. There were all sorts of terms and tools and techniques and equipment that I had no idea what they were talking about. Boning was like, I didn't even think I could understand how to do that. Gussets I had never heard of. But regardless, I jumped in, and the first project I decided to make was a fitted bodice, laced up the front. The finished product was okay. I wore it all the time because, you know, I had invested time, money, energy, blood, sweat, tears. But even back then, I wasn't happy with the quality of it. And to this day, I still feel like I can't make truly fitted clothing that is quality. Whereas I can definitely make blouses, dresses, things of that nature. But when it comes to fitted clothing, I just don't feel as equipped to accomplish it. To be honest, I haven't acquired that many new skills, and I haven't been sewing consistently since high school, kind of on and off, but you know, I'm more patient now, and I honestly think that patience alone will improve the quality of the garments that I make. So again, very interested to get started. I'm going to cut out all the pieces, and I will keep you in the loop. So I cut out all my pieces, and I have zigzagged all of the edges. Linen frays a lot, and I'm a bit anal or detail oriented depending on how you want to look at it. And I like to preserve my garments for as long as possible, and I just find when you kind of zigzag the edge, it really helps maintain the seams and keeps everything in the right place. So that's all done. Now it's the process of putting everything together. Now, I would dive a little deeper into this project, but I promised my kids I would take them on a hike. So we're going to bundle up and go outside and head off into the woods. And as soon as I get back, if it's not too dark, I'm going to continue sewing. I think I might be changing my mind about these loops in the back. So let me show you. I have half of the garment sewn, and I think they're so cute. They're a little crooked. My sewing machine isn't the greatest, and it had some trouble getting through the thickness of the loops. If you can picture it like this on my back. And then there's going to be another set of loops here, and I already put some string through it just to pull it a little taut and see what it was going to look like. It didn't matter so much that they were crooked once the string was through and pulling it and doing its job. My only concern is that there's really not that much fabric to cinch. So in a way, I'm going to have a lot of lacing on the back, and it might look a little awkward. It's almost just lacing for lacing's sake being there versus actually performing a function. I have to attach loops to the other side now. Every time I end up sewing or knitting or any project, I always have to tweak things to make it work for me, and these loops are a perfect example. Initially, what you were supposed to do was take the fabric, fold it over on itself, stitch the outside, take a safety pin and kind of wiggle it through and pull it right side out. You know, if you've sewn any kinds of casings before, you'll know what I'm talking about. But look how skinny this is. It was virtually impossible to do. So what I ended up doing was just kind of ironing it flat and shut and just running a seam down. And it's made a really compact, tight, sturdy little loop feature here. And then I just kind of eyeballed how large I wanted the loops. And this signifies where the loops are going to be placed. And then I take these types of pins that have a very small head. And as you can see, I've already created little holes from the first time I did this. And I just stick it in to signify where I'm going to be placing the actual loops. Just marking it off for a little bit of a visual aid. And then gently I kind of hold down to keep that pin head in place. And like I said, the first time it's a little harder because you're actually creating the holes. Okay, this is just lifting up pretty easily. And now what I'm left with are the exact places to put the loops. And I just pin that into place. So again, I'm just going to take a loop, fold it in half, kind of eyeball how big I would like the opening to be for the lace, find my pin head, place it down, and pin it into place. Okay, so I have my pieces all sewn. I want to try to do a fitting, which is challenging because the pattern doesn't allow you to sew the shoulder seams together yet. That would be really easy to try it on. So for now, I just have to kind of hold it and piece it together and hope for the best. So I'm going to sew the lining now to the right side, and then we're pretty much going to be all done. Overall, I am pleased with the results. I ended up being anti-loop to completely 100% pro loop, if you notice what I've done here. So rather than do the hook and eye closure like I was talking about, I was so inspired by the back of the garment that I thought, I can do that in the front. What I had to do was kind of shorten these side panels, kind of understanding that the loops were going to take up some of that space and allowing fabric underneath to show through, which I'm actually a fan of at this point. It was a fun project, and it only took, like I said, a day if you didn't have anything else to do, 2 days if you have other responsibilities. So for a 2-day project, I think it was pretty fun. Now the lining did actually call for boning, but I left that out. It also called for interfacing, which I left out. But here is the inside with the lining. And maybe one day I will have it so I have appropriate seams on the back so it doesn't require the cinching with the laces back there, and then I can make a reversible bodice, which I think would be really fun. And I really like this color actually. I think I'm going to make one this color too. Maybe the black one that I make will be black on the outside and this tan color on the inside. I think that would be really beautiful. So thank you so much. I appreciate you guys hanging in. If you've watched the whole video and you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like it and subscribe. That means the world to me. Any comments you leave, I will try to respond to. And it was fun. Thank you. Until next time.